I made a dude get his nuts waxed on the first date after he lied to me. When I was in my early 20s and online dating was just starting, I made a profile and said I was just not going to be into two things: smokers and people with kids. Just that. You could be anything else, and if the chemistry is there, we are all good. I meet this guy early in the morning for a breakfast date and we are hitting it off averagely. No sparks but no red flags. The date goes for 2.5 hours, breakfast taking forever, until we are splitting the bill and he tells me he has a kid. I ask him if he read my profile to know that I was not interested in that, and he says, "Yes, I read that, but knew that if you just spent some time with me, you'd see how great I am and how you'd be willing to see past that." I was floored, as now he wasted 3 hours of my life and was okay with being a liar. That was unacceptable to me. I said, "Well, I don't want this date to end, but I have to go across town to get my Brazilian, where they take all the hair off including the hole, done in an hour. Want to come with me and get one too? It's not painful, a total lie, and I think it's attractive on men to be clean there. No pressure, but I'm pretty busy the rest of the week and this is my only free day." He was all about following me anywhere. I told the ladies that this was his first time and that they should take everything including the ut. He held my hand between a curtain and we both got them donate at the same time. He screamed a lot but was a champ and went through with it. I made him pay for his own and never called him again. If you are out there, Chris, please don't lie to women on the first date. It's a really bad way to start a relationship. I caught my partner cheating, so I covered his whole house in glitter. That's literally it. I caught him cheating by looking through his trash, literally lol. Email sand found some pretty graphic emails from the other woman. Confirmed he was with her that day through his Google Maps tracking. So I got every bit of loose glitter I owned and I went to his house and scattered it. In his bed, his couch, his chairs, his toilets, his clothes, his iron flat-top stove. I know I'll be okay and I'm going to heal. But guess who probably won't ever be able to fully get rid of all the glitter? I've been secretly fattening up 2 coworkers for talking hit about a friend of mine. I've known my friend since high school. I'll call him Bob. We're both in our 40s now and ended up briefly working for the same company, but different locations. Sometimes employees travel to different locations for training and whatnot, and a little over a year ago, my buddy ended up here for a half day of training. My friend has a lisp, he's self-conscious about it, was teased in high school, and it's affected his self-image and self-esteem. The guy is all heart and really is a cool guy if you get to know him. He's a bit overweight, and pretty self-conscious about that too. I wasn't here the day Bob came to train, but the next day I went to the front office with 2 of the secretaries to say good morning like always. We had a good rapport, and they were talking with a fake lisp and absolutely cracking up like it was the funniest thing in the world. I knew my friend Washer, but asked them anyway what the lisp was about. The 2 SS holes didn't know Bob was one of my oldest friends. They could barely keep a straight face about how the guy from the other place sounded like a loser who would probably never find a woman. He looked greasy, he was fat, can you imagine what he would sound like in bed? Lisping and sweating, ha ha ha, hit like that. I was iced, but kept a good poker face. Kinda chuckled and said something to the effect of, "You guys are terrible." They seem mad proud of themselves. These 2 SS hole have a sweet tooth. For the last year, I have relentlessly been bringing them donuts, chocolates, Starbucks drinks with so much sugar they could give an elephant diabetes, ice cream cakes, candy, anything that is calorie dense and sweet. It's not hard to make them eat. I just say stupid cliche, funny, stuff like, "Diet starts tomorrow," or, "If you take small bites, there's fewer calories." They laugh and eat. No joke, they've gained about 40 pounds apiece and now complain about hit like finding clothes and being tired all the time. One of them was spilling her guts to the other about her husband not wanting to sleep with her anymore. Bob never found out about what they said. He left the company for greener pastures shortly after that incident. He's doing good. I have no intention of stopping. And #X200B, edit, update. Holy cow. Didn't think people would like me being an SS hole this much, but thanks. So a couple of things. To whoever referred me to the Reddit care resources and the crisis text hotline, UCKU. Suicide hotlines and the sort should not be something to buke with as a joke. Did not know about feeding fetishes until now. Thanks for sending me down that rabbit hole. I'll try to reply to as many of you as possible. Thank you for the awards. Save your money, more stuff. How can people defend or go to bat for the people making fun of someone for something they have no control over and doing it behind their back? Why do people defend bullies? No one said anything about them being diabetic. Stop adding to the story so it can fit your narrative. It's Reddit. I know. People calling my friend a loser, WTF. No one paid me back, so now I lie. I go to Dunkin' before work almost every morning. The other day, someone asked me to get them something and apparently that had led to them telling everyone that I was going on a Dunkin' run. So I spent $30 on everyone's Dunkin'. I get to work and have to hound a few people down for money and they say they will get me tomorrow, blah blah blah. And the people who did pay me, didn't pay me back all the way. Their total was $4.25 and they would give me $4. At the end of the day, I only got back $14. So, I've been switching between getting Dunkin' for only my close friends who I know will pay me back while asking people if they want something and not coming back with it, but coming back with my own Dunkin', or straight up telling people that specific people ruined it for them so I'm not going anymore. Someone called me petty for it, but I don't care. Guy who thought my apartment was a free-for-all, get sobered up. This happened in my early 20s when I didn't really have life figured out yet and didn't know how to deal with moochers and fake friends. Until after this incident. I was living alone in a relatively nice apartment. I made some random friends at the time. I had parties at my place, but they were never parties, just a get-together, with some drinks, smokes, and maybe movies. Of course a bunch of weed at the time, but everyone was cool, except Guy. Guy was more of an acquaintance to me, less of a friend. We didn't really know each other. He was the one who always drank too much and smoked too much. A couple months after I met him, he'd call me in Fridays so him and some other friends who I knew could come over. This soon became a daily thing, but he would bring new people who I didn't know. They basically needed a place to smoke, whatever that was in his apartment because he had a roommate. And then, he started to show up at my door after his work every day. Without a text or a call. Just showing up whenever like hell I was there. I told him plenty of times to call me first or have the courtesy to text me. He never seemed to grasp that concept. I got sick of him taking advantage like that and I stopped hanging out and started ignoring him. Then one day he keeps calling me over and over like 7 times. I still ignore it, but then I hear banging on my door. After a few minutes I open it and he's standing there with another dude I don't know. He has a bag in his hand filled with weed, various drugs and bongs, etc. He tells me, not asks, to hold on to this bag because his parents are visiting his apartment and he can't leave that stuff there. I was just shocked and didn't know what to say for a second, blinded by rage and frozen. I only said okay because I just wanted to get rid of them at the moment and they left. Ignoring him still led him to break my boundaries like that. An hour later I decided that no, it's not okay. He is taking advantage of me and my patience and I didn't want this to be a recurring thing. So I called him a bunch of times but he didn't answer. I wanted to give it back to him and make up an excuse that I'm going out of town on an emergency and won't be back for a week, so he'd take his hit back without asking questions. He never answers his phone or texts, so I took that bag to his apartment complex and gave it to the security guy with a note on it, saying I'm returning what belonged to Guy. And he delivered it to the apartment. A few days later, my other friend was talking about Guy and how he moved back to his hometown. I asked why. He said his parents found all that hit Thatha was trying to hide at my place and almost disowned him. They were paying for his apartment and lifestyle, etc. He got all his privileges to Kinaway, no car, no friends, and he was stuck in high-sold room in his hitty small town until he found a job there or went back to school. Good riddance. My bill tried to get me fired, so I ruined his wedding photos. This actually happened about 4 years ago. At the time I was married to my now ex-wife. Her sister, Alice, was getting married to Roger. But let's backtrack a bit so I can set the scene. It's a bit long but bear with me, friends. I'd had a storied past with Roger and we did not care for each other in the least. To put it mildly, he is a compulsive liar, mooch, and cheat. And had pretty much alienated Alice from most of her friends and family. He and I had a falling out over all this where I called him out on all his BS. In revenge, he said a lot of really horrible lies about me to the family and had done his best to try and get me fired from my job as well as some other things I can't discuss. Really evil hit. As a result, we had to pay a lawyer to send him a cease and desist letter and we went NC with either of them. I wouldn't even be in the same building with him, for any reason, including birthdays, Christmas, etc. After a few years, I was still NC with either of them. My wife would talk to her sister occasionally which didn't really bother me, but I came under a lot of pressure from my in-laws to normalize things somewhat. You know, for the good of the family. Now, I got along great with my in-laws and it was really important to them so I gave it a shot. I would basically be at an event with them but wouldn't socialize or engage with either of them. A few months later they announced their engagement and began planning the wedding. My wife was to be MOH and our kids, 6 and 4, would be flower girl and ring bearer. Now, I was absolutely not in the wedding party, this you must understand, and I was perfectly okay with that. As the planning continues, I get word that Roger would like to buy me a suit, as his way of making amends and so I wouldn't have to pack a suit of my own. I had plenty of suits, so this was a really odd request but he comes from some money and said it was his way of trying to make amends for all the BS in the past. Whatever, fine, I'll go along. I sent my measurements over along with my sons for the wedding planner. The wedding was in a different state so I wouldn't be able to see the suit until we picked it up a day before the wedding. This concerned me along with his insistence that I wouldn't have to bring a suit so I packed my own suit as well, a nice charcoal gray 2-piece with white shirt and blue tie. We fly into the state, check into our hotel, and I head to the haberdasher to pick up the suits along with my son and Phil, also not in the wedding party but also getting a suit. Turns out Roger hadn't bought us suits but had actually rented us the same cream-colored tuxedos as his side of the wedding party. Basically trying to dress us up like the groomsmen despite not being in the wedding. I immediately saw why he didn't want me to pack a suit and had a good laugh at it, but said nothing and let him think he got over on me. My wife also found this quite hilarious, and there we formulated our plan. The day of the wedding, everyone got dolled up in their wedding kits, champagne dresses and cream tuxedos, and me, in my charcoal gray suit. When Roger saw me, he was cordial but looked a bit irked. I found out through the grapevine he was absolutely livid I didn't wear the tux. Which, frankly, made my day. Now for the absolute best part, and cue the petty revenge, the pictures. Because I was close, family, I was included in a lot of pictures by default, but my wife, bless her heart, made a point of pulling me into almost every picture she was able to. When the pictures came back, it was amazing. In at least 60% of the pictures, I was in there somewhere and stood out like a sore thumb. 8 to 10 people all dressed the same in cream and white, and me, in my almost black suit. Alice was so beyond ist she had a near meltdown and insisted that everyone get together to retake the pictures the right way, which of course didn't happen as this was 3 months after the wedding. So, yeah. Enjoy your wedding album with its almost perfect color scheme and coordination. Edit. Since everyone wants to K-own why we split up, it wasn't related to this. She had some untreated mental illness and infidelity issues that made an ongoing union untenable.